The ninja, pirate, samurai, mink alliance is ready to go to war. Okay, they got their men, they got their ships, they're all gathered up onward to Onigashima. The plan is ready, but they're facing a very daunting task. The Beast Pirates and Orochi have 30,000 people on their side. And Big Mom, the Yonko, is there. And Kaido, the Yonko, is there. And Big Mom also has Smoothie, Peril Sparrow, Daifuku, and other people with her. So, it's gonna be a tough fight. So in this video, we're gonna be particularly breaking down the Straw Hats, who will be busting through the front gates and getting into action right away. And what kind of power-ups they will have through Wano and possibly at the end of Wano. Post-Wano, after the war is all over, maybe they'll get some upgrades. And what kind of power-ups they'll experience during this battle in this epic grand war. So to start off, we're going to start off with the very obvious ones. And ironically, I think that's the 4 strongest Straw Hats we have right now with Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbe. I said Jinbe 4th. Now, don't get wild up. That wasn't intentional. But I do think by the end of the arc, he'll probably be the 4th strongest in the crew. But as so far, from what we've seen, I do think he is 2nd strongest from what we've seen. Okay, but anyways, starting off, the captain, Luffy, I think it's very obvious where Oda is going with this. He's gonna advance his armament haki in Wano, right? That's been the focus in Whole Cake Island. He had a long, drawn-out fight with Katakuri where he advanced his observation haki to be able to see in the future, and he kind of practiced that and showcased that again while he was in when he was in Udon, the prison, and going through all the battles when Queen was had him captured. So during this whole incident, Udon, he was trying to figure out a way to advance his armament haki to get a way to attack Kaido, because he went up against Kaido and nothing worked. King Kong gun and everything, it all failed. It kind of just sobered up Kaido from his drinking, but that's literally it. In the prison, he was fighting everybody. He's like, oh, this is a great way to practice. He thought back. He's like, yo, when I was training with Rayleigh, the first time he showed me Haki was this super advanced version of Haki where he could essentially attack somebody internally, right? It was like a force, right? It's like he was from the Star Wars universe or something. So he was trying to get that across. And Hyogoro, the Yakuza boss, Hyogoro of the Flower, he saw this. He's like, I think I know what you're talking about. It's not called Haki, but in our country, in Wano, it's called Ryo. So he showcased it, and essentially it's like a force field that you're a Haki force. I don't know. It's pretty much the force, right? That you're using to punch somebody. You could coat yourself in it and use it as defense or attack somebody internally, right? When they took over the prison, I believe there were 7 or 6 days left before the Fire Festival. So for the rest of essentially he had a week to keep practicing, and we kind of saw that in the build-up to the preparations. He was practicing, nothing was working. Eventually we did see a page of him punching a tree and it exploding from the back. So how exactly is this going to power him up? Now, I think this is obviously a way to damage Kaido, but how does he incorporate it into his gear, right? So a lot of it comes down to a lot of people are speculating, will he get a new gear? Personally, I don't think he's gonna get a new gear. I think his current setup right now, you have Tank Man, although the version we saw of Tank Man was this super blown up version of him after he ate all those crackers. But you have Tank Man defense version, Snake Man a speed version, and Bound Man the attack version. People are coming up with like Lion Man or Tiger Man based off like Snake Man was like an animal based one. So they're thinking like a super strong attack form will be another animal, but it's not all animal, right? Tank Man's literally you're just a tank. Bound Man is him, he's using compression to attack. And I think that's his strongest attack form, and you're not going to get another attack form because he's just literally compressing everything to push out one strong attack. His King Kong gun is this big inflated hockey fist that is compressed and then blasted through, right? I don't really think you're going to get any stronger than that or to create a new form to top that in terms of attack power until his next gear or gear 5th, which I think will probably be his awakening. But for now, I really just think Ryo, or the advanced version of armament haki, is going to be applied to his gear 4th version. So Bound Man, Tank Man, and Snake Man. So I think it comes down to his mastery of Gear 4th. So the first time Gear 4th was introduced was in Dressrosa. He could only use it for 5 minutes before he essentially passed out and became like incapacitated essentially. But when he was using it, he was OP. And then in Whole Cake Island, he was using it a lot he used it against Cracker, against Big Mob, and then against Katakuri, and then introduced different forms with Tank Man, Snake Man. And now in Wano, we're kind of seeing him go in and out of that form a lot when he's attacking a ship. And even when he's training with Rio, he went into Bound Man and try to King Kong gun with Rio, right? So I think mastery of Gear 4th, along with advanced version of Armament Haki, the combination of those is going to be Luffy's power-up. So how does this apply? So essentially, I'm thinking he could now just switch in between those versions super easily. He could go into Tank Man when he wants to defend. And speaking of Tank Man, let's get this out of the way first. I don't think he's going to just blow up and be that version of Tank Man. I think there's a base form of Tank Man where he's like a little more bulky and his body is covered. And how does Rio come into this is Hyogoro talked about himself protecting himself with that advanced version. It's almost like a shield that he could shield himself with. If you apply that to Tank Man, now he's got a nice defense version of Gear 4th, and now he could attack the same principle, but in attack power to Snake Man. So if he wants to change to speed attack, he can change to Snake Man and still attack Kaido with speed. And if he wants a lot of power, he just changes into Bound Man and attack with the advanced version of Armament with Bound Man with more attack power. So I think Luffy's power up in general is just going to be him being able to last long in Gear 4th. And being able to switch in between each form and also applying the advanced version of Armament Haki. So next up is Zoro. Zoro I also think is a very obvious power up, and that is his sword, his new sword Emma, which was switched out with Shusui. So Shusui had to be returned because Ryuma is the sword god and he's revered, like praised in Wano. So having his sword taken away from his grave, it just wouldn't be right. But instead he got Emma, this blade that was able to wound Kaido, and also it has this unique capability of sucking the Haki out of its user. Essentially, you could see it as almost a downgrade, like it's uncontrollable, but Zoro said it himself, it makes him stronger because now he could train his Armament Haki and his overall control over it. And it also has the potential of being made into a black blade, whereas Shusui was already made into a black blade, just not by Zoro, by Shusui. It's kind of hinted at it could jump another grade in terms of its rank, but we're not sure. Translation is a little unclear with that. But Emma is essentially Zoro's upgrade and his overall control over his Armament Haki. Now, can Zoro get the advanced version of Armament Haki is another question. I think he should be able to, right? Because if he's going against the top tier fighters, like we think he is, I'll probably make another video on the overall scheme of Wano and like potential battle matchups and different external forces and everything. But say he goes up against King, right? He's probably gonna, like regular Haki is not gonna just be able to take down the top commander of Kaido's pirate crew. And so, well, maybe Kaido's son is still involved, but top two, we would say, right? So Zoro in particular, his specialty is Armament Haki, right? He's a very destructive person. Well, he could use observation Haki for sure. He's always been based off of, you know, being able to up his strength over and over and over again, right? That's like his kind of ideology. He has 3 swords because he thinks he can create more damage that way. And so to him advancing, blooming his Haki in a way, blooming his Armament Haki in the next, in this huge battle against several people. He'll probably face Kaido at some point. Maybe he'll kill him. Who knows? But it makes sense to me that he also gets this next level of Armament Haki. He hasn't been training as long with Emma. I think he got it like 3 days before the battle started. So, but it does seem like he has general control over it. Maybe in the midst of battle, he'll really have to rein it in and focus a lot to use it to his full potential. But I think this battle could be a nice awakening slash like blossoming Haki moment for him. And we need to see more of Zoro, right? Wano is for Zoro. Wano, the land of the samurai. We need to focus on Zoro, and he needs to have an epic moment here. And I think advancing his Armament Haki makes a lot of sense. And I also think we'll see a lot of new sword techniques. So Zoro obviously has a lot of sword techniques, starting with Santoryu. We saw some of them being up to a next level post time skip already. Like Onigiri became Purgatory Onigiri, right? So like Tatsumaki became a bigger, more special attack. Other moves like the Sansen Seikai got upgraded, along with the cannon went from 1080 to now his latest he used on Pika was like 1,080 pound cannon, or Phoenix, however you want to translate that. So we've seen versions of his moves be upgraded, and in particular we need more of 9-sword style Kyotoryu with Ashura. He used that pre-time skip in Enies Lobby and then on Sabondi against the Pacifista, and hasn't touched it since. This has to be a moment where he busted out, or else like where did Oda just make a mistake with that, and where he thinks that power is too OP, but then he used it again on Sabodi, so it doesn't make sense for him to just toss that aside. I think this is a moment where he busts that out along with a lot more techniques. Next up we have Sanji. Now Sanji is also a very obvious one. Raid suit is his upgrade, but I think we really need to analyze what the raid suit does for him, right? So the raid suit in particular, when he put it on, he kind of analyzed it real quick. Got the shield with his cape. We got boosters on his feet and levitation, whatever things, so he can fly. So on his shoes, he has boosters that make him faster and levitating little balls that make him float, right? Give him the ability to fly. And also his special is Stealth Black, and he could camouflage, essentially go invisible like Absalom's Clear Fruit. But we only saw this in action with him just kind of getting used to and testing it out. So how does this mesh with his current fighting style, the black leg fighting style, along with other capabilities, right? So him, obviously, he only uses kicking. So I think it meshes very well with the raid suit, because now he's able to fly, he's able to boost himself. He doesn't really have to use his hands like he did before, where he has to essentially like do a handstand and start breakdancing to like kick people, right? He can kind of just fly up and spin and super fast, and he could just kick people that way. He doesn't have to flip over and do that kind of stuff. He's also incredibly fast now, right? So before he had Skywalk, Blue Walk, running away from the Okama so much, he gained incredible speed to be able to do that. My thinking is he could combine that with the boosters already on with the raid suit. So now he's ready with the raid suit alone. He's going super fast. And now if he like skywalks and uses his own speed on top of it, how fast could he be? Along with the fact that he could just turn invisible. Now you think observation haki, he can't really hide when people are using observation haki, right? So like when he was in the bathhouse, Hawkins noticed him still, right? He wasn't just invisible and they didn't know where he was. But now think about it. If he's so fast and you can't see him either, so he's just everywhere bouncing around and you don't know where he is, you have to be really, really focused to be fighting him. Your observation haki has to be keened in all the time, because not only if you can't see him, so you have to sense him in the first place, now he's going away at like super fast speed. So you really got to be locked in when you're fighting Sanji. And then the other point is his Diable Jambe, right? He's kind of like a fire aspect person now. He could kind of just light his foot on fire just through his pure passion or anger. What was it called? Hellstorm, or I believe, that he could just ignite his anger or passion to light his foot on fire and light other people on fire. So now you have his incredible speed with his raid suit, more protection, more defense with his shield, and a fire element added to it. And I think that's his overall general power up. And I also want to see Sanji be able to advance his haki as well. But for Sanji, it's not going to be his armament haki. He specializes in observation haki. We've noticed that ever since post time skip. That's what it's been pointed out to us for Sanji. He has armament as well, of course, but it's his senses, his ability to notice people's intent. In Whole Cake Island, he was able to dodge Katakuri's bullet, and shooting him point blank range, he was just able to dodge it, right? So the observation haki is really keen. I wonder if in this crazy battle where he's moving lightning fast himself, and he could also all of a sudden unlock this like a maybe not as advanced, but like a slight ability to kind of see the future a little bit. How OP would Sanji be if he's super fast, you can't see him, and he knows what you're gonna do? So that would be Sanji's power up. Next one would be Jinbe. Now Jinbe, no real power up. We just need to see what this man is capable of, right? We saw a little bit of that in Whole Cake Island and Marineford and Pell Down and all that, but we need to spend more time with him, see him in a one-on-one battle for a prolonged period so we could get to know more of his moves. You know, like he's shown moves before, but they don't stick into our head like Luffy's pistol or Zoro's onigiri, even Sanji's like a mutton shot, something that you could say and you will remember because he's used it so many times. So we need to spend more time with him, get to know his moves a little more. He kind of takes the Franky role in East Lobby, where Franky didn't really have a power-up. We're just learning more about Franky and how he fights and all the capabilities he has. And that's what I expect from Jinbe. Not really a power-up, but just showing this guy's already pretty damn strong. Next up, we have Nami. I think Nami, very obvious power-up on the surface was Zeus. But I think Zeus is going to leave after this. It doesn't really make sense to me that Zeus stays, especially when Big Mom came. She said, Zeus, I'm taking you back with me, and that's her soul. It doesn't make sense that Big Mom wouldn't be able to take it back. Again, with all the chaos, we don't know what's going to happen, but I think Zeus is a temporary thing. So how is Nami going to get a power-up? I think we need a one-on-one fight with her. For sure. We haven't seen her hand-to-hand combat that much. Of course, post-Zo, Usopp put the pop greens into her Clean attack, and now it's like a extendable stick that she could really fight with. And we haven't seen that too much. We saw a little bit of it on Whole Cake Island, but we need to see her really use it more, right? So I think probably in East Lobby was the last one-on-one fight she had. So I want to see her hand-to-hand combat, a little more one-on-one action, just to kind of showcase her skills a little bit, not just that she's a fodder control person, right? She could handle her own. Now, a long shot power-up I thought about is a devil fruit. In particular, the Yuki Yuki no Mi. Now, this has been a theory for a very long time. The theory is Yuki Yuki is the numbers. It fits into like a number thing with the Straw Hats, where Gomu Gomu is like 5656. So Yuki Yuki would fit in at, I believe it's 29 or something like that, but it would make the Straw Hats have all the numbers with their devil fruits, right? So Yuki Yuki, the one that makes the most sense, because Monet died on Punk Hazard, and the idea is that fruit grew on Nami's like orange tangerine bush, right? So why hasn't been used this whole time? Now this would be a long shot, but it's something I just thought of to, kind of like hypothesize, make it fun or whatever. Maybe she's been like keeping it, and now in the dire straits of a battle, she brings it out. She's like, okay, I gotta eat this now, right? And maybe she doesn't eat it now. Maybe post Wano, we see more upgrades with her Clean attack. They use that for a Clean attack, and now she's able to use snow in addition to like rain, thunder, heat, and all that kind of stuff. So another weather element could get added. But what I really want to see post Wano for is Sea Stone implementation. You're gonna hear me say this for a lot of the Straw Hats, because I think personally, every single Straw Hat has to have a way to deal with Logias. I don't think like even somebody like Caribou, like if you're on the Straw Hats and you're gonna be the king of the pirates crew, you gotta be able to one-on-one Caribou, right? Like he's a Logia. Like if Nami, Robin, Franky, Chopper, Brook, if they went against Caribou right now, can they technically win? Because he's Logian, they have no way of attacking him, right? If they don't have like Sea Stone or Haki, how are they gonna attack any Logias for as that matter, right? So for me, you're gonna hear Sea Stone implementation and armament Haki development. You're gonna hear that a lot coming up. But for Nami, I think it makes sense. I don't think Nami could get armament, although it would be badass, but she's not really like a punching kind of person, right? I think, Wano has a lot of Sea Stone. That's why Sea Stone's gonna be brought up a lot. They have a great craftsman. I think it makes sense for her Clean attack to have maybe just the round parts at the end have sea stone embedded, or even just the whole thing have sea stone embedded. That way she has a way to defend herself against Logias, right? So I think sea stone implementation, obviously Zeus is the clear power up, but probably, in my opinion, temporary. I want to see a one-on-one fight with her, and a long shot is the Yuki Yuki no Mi. Next up, Usopp, I think another pretty obvious one. He'll probably be the last obvious power-up person, but observation haki, he unlocked that in Dressrosa. Haven't seen it since. He's been, with it for a pretty long time, and with people that know observation haki. So hopefully he's talked to them about it and been like, hey, what is this, right? And learned about it and really worked on it. So about Usopp's observation haki, so far we could only see that he could sense auras from a very, very far distance when he's completely focused, right? But now the question is, how far can he see? How many people can he see? If he can see that far, can he also sense all the people around him? Because that would be OP, right? So either like he could sense dude really far and he's attacking people from really far away as support, or he could sense a lot of people and he's just boom, 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 attacking a whole bunch of people at once, right? So that's one thing. And I also want to see him develop the ability to kind of sense other people's intent, right? That way he has some defensive like capability where he's not just attacking people with his like schemes or whatever. Now he can sense their intent, right? Before he's already just planning 1,000 different ways to attack people with different bullets and different super unique attacks. Now if he could know people's intent, can you imagine how much better Usopp would be if he could sense like, oh, that's what he wants to do to me? Oh, I could just counter it with that, you're done, and I could sense you coming from that way and what you want to do, boom, you're done, right? So that it suits Usopp really, really well. Now also sea stone implementation for Usopp also. I don't think it makes sense for him to get armament. He already has observation. I don't think he really needs armament. We've seen sea stone nails and also bullets in Wano, so those are real things. I think Usopp could get really creative with his own sea stone bullets, but I like to see some like new sea stone stuff for Usopp, so he could also have a way to defend himself against Logias. Next up, Franky. Now Franky, I actually don't see him getting Haki. It might make sense that way because he's a super strong person, but Franky's a cyborg. I think his advancements have always come on the technological side of development, right? Him improving his body that way. But I do see some maybe new physical moves. We saw him suplex some people, so maybe he's kind of taking inspiration from his fight from Senor Pink. Maybe we'll see more sumo moves from Franky, right? So like him pushing more people, throwing more people, right? So more physical moves from Franky, but not like super devastating moves that way. In terms of more stronger power-ups, Sea Stone for Franky makes the most sense to me. Sea Stone, maybe he can embed himself in Sea Stone, his strong right, maybe some weapons left, some Sea Stone bullets, stuff like that. I think that's a way to upgrade Franky for sure. There's also crazy weaponry in Wano. That's why Kaido is based there. He's developing a lot of weapons. There's a bunch of factories. You've seen those cannons on the battleships and at the fort. They can shoot crazy far distances. Franky could definitely take inspiration from that and build more dope cannons for himself that can shoot, that are more destructive, shoots farther, and maybe has some sea stone in it. Next up we have Robin. Robin, I really need a one-on-one fight for Robin. Please, please, please. Last time we saw this was like Sky Pia. Like in his lobby even, when everybody got their one-on-one fights, even Franky, who wasn't even part of the crew yet. Robin was the one being saved, so she didn't really have a fight. Dressrosa, kinda. Hakuba, she stopped. Fishman Island, not really. All those guys were just very bad villains, so they were super weak. You didn't really see a serious fight. I want a serious fight with Robin, and I want to see two ways. Alright, we can even see her develop Haki, which I think eventually she should be able to do, to be able to attack Logias. Either that or Oda's got to come up with another way to attack Logias. Because for me, it doesn't make sense that, like, 2/3 of the Straw Hat crew can't attack Logias because they don't have Haki or a Sea Stone. So I think they have to develop one or the other until another way to attack Logias is introduced. So for Robin, armament makes more sense because she can't use Sea Stone. She has a Devil Fruit, obviously. If she could coat her hands in armament, that'd be very OP. But we'll probably see a limit on that if she does learn it in Wano. But I think more Devil Fruit blossoming makes sense as well. We've seen a lot of her making herself giant and also clones. Those are like the two avenues that she's been able to push forward and expand her attacks and abilities. So I'm thinking either she could make a big version of herself as like a giant version of herself, maybe is like the awakening, but maybe at least now she can make like a halfway like big version of herself, or make more clones as well. And that kind of got me thinking she could kind of learn like ninjutsu a little bit, ninja moves. Imagine if she could make like fake clones and also flower clones and all sorts of different ways, and smoke bombs. I think she could use stealth a lot better. What's funny is Nami was actually the ninja during Wano, and Robin was the geisha, but she did so much better as like a stealth agent gathering information. And her specialty when she first went on cruise, she's like, I specialize in assassinations. So it just makes sense for her to learn more ninjutsu aspects. I think that would be a very fun way for her to get some power-ups. But besides that, armament Haki and Devil Fruit blossoming for her as power-ups, I think, are the most likely options. Next up, we have Brook. Again, Brook Chopper, you're going to hear the same thing. Armament or Devil Fruit blossoming, right? But it's different for each of them. So Brook, armament, Black Bones Brook as Tekken 101. I believe he termed it first. Hell of a name. That would be badass if he could turn his whole skeleton black in armament and just attack that way. I think that would be awesome. So that could be one way he powers up, but also his Devil's Fruit blossoming. I see this in multiple ways. Obviously, his whole thing of expanding his powers is he's able to use his soul more and also draw energy from the underworld. So I thought maybe some people have mentioned using his soul to like control others. I think that's a little too deep. I don't think it's gonna go that direction, but I do see maybe he's able to like speak to people who have already died. You know, Wano has a lot of people that have died in tragic accidents, not accidents, but tragic ways because of like hunger and all the bad stuff Orochi has put him through. He's probably killed a bunch of people. What if all of a sudden he's like kind of awakened this ability to hear their voices, and he's hearing all these cries and angry shouts, and he could kind of summon them or use their energy a little more. And that could either come from like his sword getting more of that frozen power and he has more strength that way, or he could kind of raise the dead souls for a little while and just use their power for a little bit. I think that would be a very cool idea. I think I'm gonna make a separate video on Brook possibly awakening his Devil Fruit, because I think there's so many ways you could go about that and it could be really interesting. But for now, just in Wano, I think that could be a really good storytelling way to do it. If he just starts hearing all these people that have died from Orochi's reign and Kaido's terror, and he's able to gain more power through them. Another thing is Brook is also a swordsman, right? We always think about Zoro getting new swords and sword upgrades, but Brook can as well, right? So he got his sword sharpened during this time skip. Why not just give him a good brand new like high grade sword in Wano? I think he deserves it. It has to be unique. I would like to see him with the cane type of sword and have a very specialized one made for him that way. But I think Brook could use a new sword. This is another thought I have. What if he got the Nidai Katetsu? I think it would look kind of weird without his signature cane sword, but you know, he's a skeleton and he has this curse sword. Maybe he could tame it that way, because he essentially has access to the underworld, and he's like, you kill people, you have to speak to all these guys I'm hearing. And like, I think it'd be an interesting dynamic if he got that sword. And it's a very good sword. I have to double check what grade it is, but I think it's top tier sword on the same level as Shusui. I'll correct it in the video if it's wrong. But I think post Wano, it could be very interesting for Brook to get a sword as well. Finally, we have the cute, adorable, lovable Tony Chopper. He needs more shine. Please give Chopper more shine. He's been, a very good doctor. That's been pointed out too. He helped people on Zoe, on Punk Hazard, the Udon prison. He's done very well as a doctor, but I want to see Chopper fight. I think people are frustrated because Chopper, he got control of Monster Point, which was dope, but it's not as scary as it was when he wasn't in control, and it just, I think, lost a little bit of edge to it because it doesn't seem as devastating. And his post time skip new forms with Horn Point, I believe, and Kung Fu Point aren't really that impressive looking. Now, the audience he caters to, I guess it makes sense. He has this cute, chubby Kung Fu Point. And but I also want to point out, like, he does become more humanizing with his new forms as well. So for Chopper, obviously Armament would be a go-to. Great upgrade for Chopper, great power up. But in terms of Devil Fruit, a new form would be interesting. Maybe that's something he's been working on. He hasn't really pushed himself that much post time skip. Maybe up against somebody else, he busts out this new form. I'm also wondering what happens if he eats 3 Rumple Balls now. Does he go a super berserk form, or like what happens now? Because before it was 3 Rumple Balls and it's Monster Point. Now it's just 1. He could get Monster Point under control. Does he just lose control if he eats 3? That would be kind of whack, but I'm hoping that gets explained a little more and Chopper finally gets more shine and the fighting spotlight he deserves. But yeah, that's all the ideas that I have for this video. Tell me what kind of power-ups you think the Straw Hats will get. Comment below, let me know. If you like the video, you can hit the like button, it'd be much appreciated. And if you want to keep up to date with me, I'm on Twitter, I'm the King4. And hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, all that. But thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you later. Peace.